Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new DC Multiverse Batman, which is now made by McFarlane Toys rather than Mattel. But it's made in the DC collectibles scale, which are still being made under their name, various names. Why? This whole thing's so strange. It's such a strange situation. Why is it still DC Multiverse? But it's from a different company. Shouldn't it have its own name? It should. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Who cares what the name is? It rose by any other name, right? That's a Shakespeare reference for those of you that don't read. Anyway, this is the new Batman, and I've heard from some people that it's just the cat's pajamas, or the meow. I think it's something else from the cat that probably should go in the litter box. But we'll see. Let's go ahead and just talk about all of it in the review. So let's get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 7.5 inches to the top of his ears. Actually, let's just do the top of his head. That's more fair. So it's about 7.25, give or take. And that's going to make him about 18.5 centimeters. If you're wondering how he scales up against, like, let's say the DC Essentials Batman, they both released around the same time. Essentials is just about a month newer. They're almost exactly the same height. Same size, give or take. You'll notice a drastic difference in appearance. Now, I'm not using this guy as the epitome for a Batman action figure because the physique is definitely a little bit strange, but overall pretty good. Definitely strange, but pretty good. This one, on the other hand, what happened? That is a good question. And I think we can start answering that question by looking at one of his accessories, which is just a trading card. Which, when I did the preview for these figures, I said, look at the reference image. And people were like, that's not a reference image. That's a trading card. But here's the thing about trading cards. They have images on them, and this would be the reference for which that figure was built. Batman Detective Comics number 1000. That's the name of the figure on the package, so it's reasonable to assume that that's the look they were going for. It's not even close. It's not even a little bit close. It is shockingly weird. It has a pretty cool cape. I'll start off with that, I guess. Start off at this point with that. The cape's kind of nice. I like the way they did the cape. Dynamic, yet still fairly neutral. Cool. But boy, oh boy. This guy has like complete dad bod and a tiny head. And it's just so weird. Look at the shape of the legs. His legs have no superhero shape at all. It's gross, like it's unappealing. It's on the negative looking scale. It's not good. It's gross. His feet are kind of like big and frumpy looking because they're kind of tall. He's got very tall feet, kind of big and tall, long, tall feet, weird, skinny feet, not superhero shaped feet at all. His shins, I'm pretty sure they were assembled backwards, but they're actually keyed in. So let's look here real quick. Focus up, camera. So these are keyed in. The boot part is keyed into the leg. There's no rotation or anything, or if there is, mine's completely glued, but they look like they're just keyed in separate pieces, but they curve out. Look. There's a curve going this way and a curve going this way. And then this part is cut in. See that? Whereas this part's cut out. So whoever built this figure put the boots the wrong way. Like early on in the production. So it's a lot like some of the Marvel Legends we've seen lately. It gives him a knock-kneed look. The boots look ridiculous like that. Boy. So, okay, moving on to his legs some more. His thighs look totally unshaped. He looks like potatoes. It's not great. His diaper, I guess, is diaper shaped. Almost literally, though. Like this is gonna sound weird, but he doesn't have any fortitude. And I don't need like a giant sausage, but I'm just saying, your Batman should at least have what looks like
it is man.
The right parts. That's all I'm saying. The diaphragm area is particularly noteworthy. What happened? His stomach sticks out farther than his chest. And whoever designed that joint does not know about designing joints. Why would you make this part stick down lowest? these two abdominal muscles, we do it in quotes because they're more like potatoes, stick down really far. They didn't go like along the upper part where you normally would, kind of like this. Now it's a different type of joint, but the concept is still the same. Why would you make it stick down right there so that you can't lean it forward? It doesn't make sense. And also, he just has no shape. There's no human shape to this area. He looks mechanical, like a robot or something. It's so strange. His chest is like completely flat, but he somehow has a fat stomach. Very weird. His arms, there's a butt crack right down the middle of his arm. He's missing a muscle group, so there's that. It's not how your arms look. Anybody who has arms, I want you to take a look at your arm right now in the mirror and see if you have a butt crack there. I'm willing to lay odds that you don't. So there's that also. And now we can talk about the head. He looks as disappointed in himself as I am with McFarlane. It's just so bad. There's a giant meat flap going up and around the cowl right here. It actually sticks out. I can catch my fingernail on it. There's a meat flap from his nose to his cheek, just sticking up. What shape is his head also, by the way? And his eyes and face, like he looks like a robot. His head's so oh my gosh, this thing is just awful. They decided when they were sculpting the cowl part down here by the cape that the cape wasn't actually going to tuck into the cowl like it normally does. See how that kind of tucks in right there? It kind of comes into the cowl. Let's look at this again. See that? Nope. It just wraps around like a scarf, apparently. His cape is just like a scarf. I'm honestly baffled by this. And the fact that people are saying it's great, they love it. Like, yeah, you're allowed to like whatever you like, but what part of it do you like? I really want, it's a genuine, we're 8 minutes in and I haven't talked about anything but the aesthetics. Just wait, there's more. What I want to know, genuinely, I'm very curious if you're one of those people who like this figure, what do you like about it? At first glance, if you kind of squint and then close your eyes all the way, it looks okay. If you picture a Batman figure that looks better, but I'm genuinely curious. I'll give it that it's not glossy, it's flat, so that looks okay. The texturing they did down here is kind of cool, I guess. But look at that pose right there. He's got fat rolls. If it wasn't for the weird sculpt of this middle abdominal section being so skinny, he would have muffin tops. He's got a saggy diaper, legs with no physique at all, backwards boots, big fat feet, a stomach, butt crack arms, peanut head. What is good about this figure that people are enjoying? I really genuinely want to know. Okay, so aesthetically, 2 out of 10. Let's talk about accessories. We have the reference image trading card, which makes the figure look even worse, so that's kind of a negative. We have a Batarang. Look how fat the Batarang is compared to Batman. Look at it, the thickness compared to his arm. His arm is 2 Batarangs thick, which means the Batarangs are far too thick. It looks like a little kid's toy. It's just goofy looking. So we have a lousy Batarang, and then we have this grapnel gun, which is made out of the softest, most flaccid plastic there is. Somebody told me they put it on their shelf and within a day it was already sagging. I am not surprised. I am surprised it took a whole day. So that's lame. But what's even lamer is look how thick it is. That's what she said. It's like a garden hose coming out of the gun. That came out of that. There's no physical, it just looks ridiculous. This thing back here is a spool for the cable. He has a garden hose size cable spooled up in a thing that's smaller than his hand. McFarlane Toys apparently has just decided to give zero shits about what they're doing. It's nonsense. It's so bad. We got a DC display stand with a little DC logo on it. So the accessories are minimal, tiny little nothing accessories. And they're not even good. So accessories get a 3 out of 10. And now it's time to talk about the articulation. I will say this, they did a double ball peg head. That's a great idea. They did a decent job with it. He can look up, he can look down. There's a weird gap, but I mean, nobody's perfect, so I'm not going to fault him for that. You can move the head around wonderfully. So I guess if that's the only thing you're looking for in a figure, maybe that's why people like this figure. So let's try the shoulders. They do raise up, it just stretches the cape. That's not terrible, so that's okay. The arms, they don't appear to move around, so I don't know why there's a gap in there. I can't get either side. Oh, that one just freed up a little. I'm trying so hard to move this, and it's moving a tiny bit. Do you see the range of movement? Okay, so there is potentially the slightest bit of movement. So there's a ball peg connecting the shoulder to the torso, but I can't get it to move. That one wiggled a little bit, but that's it. So rotation wise, yeah, you can raise the arm up and the cape just flexes, so that's okay. That's not bad, that's fine. We have double butt crack biceps. I just want to point that out again. So it does go up. I'll give it to him, that's fine. The bicep swivel is there. It works okay, kind of. I don't know what shape they were going for with that arm, but it's not the right one. Double jointed elbows are okay, except I just give up. The elbows are ugly. They function, but they're ugly. There's no gauntlet swivel at all, so you just have the ball hinge in the wrist, which is okay. I'll give him the ball hinge. It's a little ugly and poorly implemented, but you do get a ball hinge, so that's okay. Now for the diaphragm, how well does this work? Does it lean forward? No, it can't because of the extra meat flap potatoes on the front. Does it lean back? No, not really. It has virtually no range. And it's just flop. I'm like, it'll just move. It'll just wiggle. It doesn't do anything. Side to side, just flop. It's just floppy. And still minimal range. It does have rotation. I'll give him the rotation. Now we have a ball peg down here for the lower abdomen. That one does lean a little bit. That one's okay. It's still very floppy, but it does lean a little bit. So collectively, he has some range across those two joints. Side to side, front and back. Just back, really. The front is just gonna give him a pot belly. A bigger pot belly. So that's pretty terrible. For the hips, they go out to the side all the way. I don't know that you would ever want to do that because of how gross it looks inside, but you can do it. I'll give him a little bit of credit there. You can do full-on splits. And going forward, no range really at all. It's so bad. God, this figure, it's enjoyable for me because it's funny. And it shouldn't be. I'm actually dying inside. This is not acceptable range. You know, I've had people ask me, why do you always do the splits with the figures? Who's going to pose them like that? It's not for the purpose of doing the splits. It's to show the range of motion. And that's nice. But his point is true. Nobody needs to do the splits, probably. Bringing the leg forward might be a little helpful. You can't really do it. Goes back a little bit. You do get a thigh swivel, so I'll give you that. The double jointed knees work well enough. And then you have a giant ball hinge for the ankle, which does give you decent range. And the ankle rocker, like they put it at an angle, so that's fine, but you can just use this, so that's okay. Like that's a ball hinge, so that's fine. So the articulation on this guy, the head's okay, the hips don't really work properly. Everything else is pretty standard. These joints don't work properly. The diaphragm joint sucks. I'll give it a 6 or a 7, you can pick. But, oh God, this figure is gross. It's so bad. What happened to McFarlane? So they used to be all about the sculpt. And then they said, okay, we can add articulation. They made figures with great articulation for a while still being sculpted well. Now they have this, which is not sculpted well and not articulated well. What's the demographic for that? People that like sculpts? No. People that like articulation? No. Who? Little kids? It's not a little kid's toy. So what's the demo for this? I just don't get it. Also, he has no fist hands. He has no fist hands. Okay, anyway. Articulation, I gave you a rating. Alright, for the final verdict on this guy, basically what I just said is all true. It doesn't look good in any way, doesn't pose well, doesn't have good accessories, it's terribly sculpted, there's not really any paint on it to speak of. It's not accurate to the source material, it's all around goofy looking. 3 out of 10. What an abomination for Batman. This is not bad. Everybody, oh, it's better than Mattel. It's not. How? How is it better than Mattel? In what way? It's differently bad. That's all it is. And I paid money for this, and I feel cheated. And hopefully by watching this, you guys won't have that same experience. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you did not enjoy this video, well, you probably like this figure. So that'll happen. But if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I've got new videos out just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.